lagom till att hundarna börjar bråka.
In this course, you will learn how to make subjects pop out, create pockets of light, create blue and golden hour light, and how to easily light flat lays. My name is Audrey Willard, and I'm here in the beautiful city of Barcelona to show you guys some tips and tricks on how to create natural looking light with flash. Don't get me wrong, I love natural light, but I like to maximize my possibilities as a photographer, and flash gives me the power to create natural looking light whenever the sun doesn't help me out. My goal with this course is to make you guys inspired, build your self-confidence with making natural light with flash. I know some of you think that flash always looks artificial, harsh, or that it's just too complicated to control. This is so wrong. The first thing you need to know is how light works.
Hello and welcome to Academy Live, episode 46.
Yes. Welcome to episode number 46.
And today we are going to talk about depth of light.
Yes, what is the depth of light? That is something really important to be aware of and how to control it. We're going to take not a super deep look into it, but a very important necessary deep look into it.
Exactly, and this we're going to try to keep it as simple as possible, but without missing out any important parts.
And without any strange magical explanations that you can see out there. We are just telling the truth here. And today we have, except for me and Anders, we have also two dogs running around here, so if you hear any barks or maybe some strange snorking sounds. Is that a word? Snorking? No.
Yeah.
It's just
like
the dogs.
pigs. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and so they are the studio dogs, Gunnar and Arne.
Yes.
And they might run around. Yeah, here we go.
Here we have Arnie. Hello. And Gunnar is somewhere here too.
Yes. And what's going to happen? We are not in the Profoto studio today. We are in David's studio.
Yep.
And so we can take a look at, here's the setup, and there's me and there's David's hand over there. So that's the little corner where we are at. We will talk a little bit about theory. We will also shoot, so that we can see in practice on how to manage the depth of light and inverse square law. And I think at the end there's also a trick, right? So where you, David, you're going to show us a trick on how a little bit of kind of how to fake the depth of light. If you're not in a huge studio like we are now, if you're in a small area, you can kind of fake the impact as if you were in a big studio.
Exactly. We will look a bit into that. So yeah.
Awesome. And we'll try to catch all the comments as much as possible on the computer here and answer them, of course.
Yes, and I do not have any glasses, even though I think I should need one because I can't see what it says.
Oh, over there, no.
But you can.
I can.
Yes.
I can. And my glasses are over here, so I probably should have. We're getting old now.
Yeah.
But anyhow, you have prepared a presentation.
I have.
Yes. So that I thought we would start with the kind of the theory part, and that will help us to kind of grasp the concept of
the depth of light. Exactly.
And
that is so true. But we got to say hello to our friends here.
We have tons of people. Of course, we got Houston, Joel here.
Western Australia, from
Perth. Yes, and we have our Swedish friends. Johan is here, and of course our Japanese friend
Shintaro.
Excellent. Glazers in Seattle. Awesome. One of our awesome dealers out there that are selling pro photo stuff. So if you're in the Seattle area, don't miss out to go in there and check out the stuff. And we got more of our Swedish friends.
Audrey.
Åsa, Sulan, Hamed, and Audrey. Hello, Audrey.
Hello, Audrey. Yep, you saw one of the dogs. We have two of them here.
Yeah, and so it might be a little bit noisy every now and then if they go berserk, which they do sometimes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And when they do not, they sleep and then they snore. So you will probably hear them some way.
Excellent. Okay, cool. And of course, David joined in from Scotland as well, and John is here from Seattle. So it's always good to have John from Seattle here, because he always takes care of. If we don't respond, he answers as well. And John is really knowledgeable about light as well. So really good, trustworthy source for knowledge.
Yes.
So
we're going to talk about the depth of light.
Yes. So let me pick up the presentation.
Yes.
And we do a little something like this. And as always, when David does a presentation, there will be animations and all that. So he spent literally all night. I think the last message I sent to you was about 2:30.
Yeah, it was about 2:30.
And I'm going to sleep now.
Yeah.
But anyway, so enjoy this presentation, and we'll talk around the inverse square law.
Yes,
What is that?
Yes, the inverse square law. I'm sure that many of you, maybe most of you, have heard about it. Some people find it kind of scary. Some people find it like a trustworthy pillow to sleep on. People have really different ways of looking at it, and we are going to look at it. And I have chosen to the subtitle it like this: the law that explains the effect of distance, because that is what it's all about. The effect of the distance between the light source and the object you are lighting. What happens when you have it in different distances? So here we have an image. We see a camera, and we see four identical twins. Do you say twins with your four?
Quadruplets.
Quadruplets, yes.
Yeah.
And we have a light source really, really close to the first model, right? Because the inverse square law is the effect of the distance. So it is all about the distance between the light source and the object you are putting the light on. So that is what we're going to look at. So this image shows exactly this, when the light source are close. And if we look at this from in a top view,
yeah,
we can see that it's the same thing. We have the camera, we have the quadruplets twins, and the softbox, the light source, really close to the model. Okay, so what happens if we move the light source far away? What happens to the light? The camera will take an image of the quadruplets models, and if we put the light source really close, what happens to the light then? There is a difference, and that is the depth of light that we're going to look into.
And we're going to shoot as well, so it's not only going to be interactive videos. So we are going to shoot. And I'm going to walk around with the gimbal, and so we can see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this part is mostly for just defining what we are going to talk about.
Yeah. And then we have this controversial topic.
Yes, because to be able to explain what is going on, what is going to happen, we need to think about light as rays of light. And there is people who says that the rays isn't any rays, but that's another topic.
Yeah.
So to simplify this, we are just going to see light as rays of light. So in this image, we can see a top view of a softbox that is spreading out light, like a sun feather. Every light ray is in a different angle, okay? This is really, really simple. But what happens now if we put in an object here? So let's throw in a blue ball, and if we count the number of rays that hit the ball at this position, we can see that we have 1, 2, 3 rays that are hitting. I have actually counted them very, very carefully. 1, 2, 3 rays hit the ball, and that means that the ball is 3 light, so to speak.
3 rays bright.
Yes, 3 rays bright. Yeah, that's the way to put it. What happens now if we put the ball closer to the light source? So 3 rays bright. We put the light source closer, so we get 5 rays of light. And if we put the the ball even closer, we get 7 rays, and then we have 9 rays, and then we have another 2, 11 rays, and we have 13 rays, and if we go even closer, we have 15 rays of light. So the closer the object is to the light source, more rays hit the object. That is not, I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? But this is really important, and especially if you look at the distances between those numbers. The 3-ray line is really far away from the 5-ray line, and so on, and they go closer and closer. And this is what we are going to use. This knowledge is what we are using when we are using the effect of the distance, or the inverse square law.
I mean, the difference between 13 rays and 15 rays is only 2-ray difference there.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really tight. And between 3 and 5, it's also only 2 rays different, but it's a huge distance.
Exactly.
And this is what, you can call it light fall off, or...
Yeah, exactly. So this is what causes the light fall off. When you have a light far away and it's darker, it's because less rays hits your subject. That is what makes it darker. Each ray, if you could pick out one ray doesn't get any darker. It travels on forever until it hits something. It has the same amount of energy, but it is how many rays that hits your subject that makes it as bright as it is.
Yeah, I mean, because we are looking at rays of light. I'm using these. I mean, it's not rays, but rays of light which are like 12.7 billion years old from the Big Bang.
Yeah.
So they truly travel forever. But then, what, Anders? So let's really now move the light source further back.
So we backed up the light source to put the ball, the blue ball, where we have only 3 rays of light again. Okay?
Yeah.
So how close can we get the object, the blue ball, before 5 rays hit? So if we move the light source a bit closer, there we have 3 rays, and not 5, 3 rays. In all these 5 positions of the ball, we have 3 rays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue balls, and they all are 3 rays bright, okay? So this distance from the first ball on the left to the last ball, we have the same amount of light. In other words, it's equally bright.
And what happens if you move it closer?
Yep. So there we have the first ball is hit by 15 rays, and the next ball 13, and then 11, 9, and 7, and 5. In other words, the balls will fade to dark. So the closer we are to the light source, we achieve a fade to darkness.
Yeah.
The fall off will be much quicker than when you had them further back.
Yeah, and then if you move the same ones back again, they are all equally bright.
Exactly, and you can see that white surface below, under the balls, that it is almost like it's equally bright over that distance. So the distance, the further away you have your light source, the more even light will be over a distance.
Yeah, and here we see an example of how it would look like when you use the models.
Exactly, you can see the first model on the left. When the camera is exposed properly for the model on the left, she is perfectly exposed, and then it goes darker because there's really many rays that hits the first model and really few rays that hits the last model.
Yeah.
So if we put the light source really far away, what will happen to the light of the models is this. You see that they are equally bright.
And why is it that the model on the far right
is looking towards...
towards me. It looks like she's a serial killer or something.
Yeah, she's really dangerous.
She's
the one, the fifth wheel of those 4 of those 4 quadruplets.
Yeah.
She's really crazy. Okay, so the light source far away creates an even light. And you can think of it like the sun in the sky. The sun is really, really far away, which means that we will, when the rays hit the Earth, those rays are mostly the parallel rays, very parallel rays. They actually, I think they diverge like 0.5% or so. So you have parallel rays that hits the Earth. That makes it's evenly bright in two different cities.
Yeah,
example.
even two cities, or if you take a football field.
Yeah, football field is
Yeah.
it isn't brighter closer to the sun at one goal, and the other goal. They are equally bright
Yeah.
because the sun is so far
far
away.
away,
So
so-
there are only parallel rays of light that
Yeah.
hits the football field. So this is the same effect, and this is something that you can use when you are as a photographer when
Yeah.
you are working with light.
And that's what we call the inverse
Yes,
square
the inverse square law. The intensity is inversely proportional to the square of the distance from the light source. And this feels really good to learn and to say, and you feel so knowledgeable.
Some people even have that on a T-shirt.
Yes, they
Like
do.
you do.
Yes.
And then the guy on the right, it's me.
Yeah, okay, that is you. Yeah, yes. Great to know that.
But now I think you need to show this, because this is really one of these things that I know it's important. It's good to understand and notice, and we can use it practically when we are shooting.
Yeah.
But I think the best way is now to get you up in here.
Okay. So
Right.
let's show it what this actually is, how you can use it. And actually first we will show that it actually works for real. So to help us out with this, we have a flashlight, a B10 Plus. Is it this camera?
Because it's that one.
It's the one, the camera far away.
Far away.
So the B10 Plus, new beautiful flash. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 models of today. And we have a camera. And what I will do, I will turn on the flash, and I have the flash really close to the models here. I will turn this so you can really see this. I have the flash really close. It's about 60 centimeters from the first model. And
I could actually take the gimbal and walk around
Yeah.
a little bit. And let's see if that works.
am I on the gimbal camera?
No, not yet. But now you are.
You can film the dogs, they are sleeping.
Now it's just dark here. So let's see. So now we have.
Okay. So here we have
Yeah.
the
So there are the dogs.
Yeah, they are sleeping, so they sleep
The
like
Sleeping
cows.
dogs are good dogs.
Yes. So here we have the B10. It's really close to the first phase here. And the light fades to dark as it is further away like this.
Yeah.
Okay?
So now we have that, and then we have
A camera,
camera tethered to the computer. Take an image.
I will turn on the remote. Okay, so theoretically, what would happen is that when I expose, so this guy is perfectly exposed.
Which we like, yeah.
Yes, he will have a lot of rays of light on him. Let's
Yeah.
say 100 or something. 100. And this guy will have less rays of light. In other words, he will go darker and darker, and this guy will be the darkest one because he has the fewest rays of light. So
And now I don't believe you. Now we have to
okay,
show
okay,
you.
okay, okay. Okay, just try this. And here we go. 3, 2, 1, and boop.
Okay, and then I need to go
Perfect.
over here and shift over.
Anders has so many things to do.
Yeah, I'm doing the camera, I'm doing everything here, and then we shift over to capture one. Boom.
Okay,
now
let's
you
see.
should see.
Did we have a good yes, perfect.
Yeah.
So the first guy on the left there, he is perfectly exposed, and the next guy is darker, and then darker, and the darkest guy on the furthest right, on the farthest right. And this is because this is due to the inverse square law.
Yes. So if and so now we have the light close, and if you would want to make these heads now equally bright,
Yes.
what would you do with the light then?
Then I need them to have equal amount of rays hitting them. Now we don't have that. Now we have a lot of rays here and fewer rays in the back. But if I back this up, so we use those parallel rays of light, which we will get when we have the light far away. So I will actually put it as far away as possible, like that.
Yeah. And now you can wave to the people in that camera.
Waving, waving. Okay. So now we should have a more even light over these guys. So I line up the heads perfectly, and I will crank up the power, because we will, of course, since we have much fewer rays of light hitting, I need to expose my camera to bring in more light.
Yeah, and you still, and again, you're exposing for the first guy, right?
Exactly, I expose for this guy.
Yeah.
There we go. Are you ready?
Yes.
3, 2, oh, maybe some more like that. 3, 2, 1, and boop.
There we go, and then we go into capture 1, and there we see a line of guys standing there.
And you can see that the first guy on the left and the last guy on the right, they are really equal in brightness.
And how? What would you say the distance is right now?
I would say that the distance is about 11 meters.
11 meters, yeah.
Yeah, or something like that.
So again, it's clearly good to have a long distance.
Exactly.
And so why is this important? I mean, it's not that often when I shoot. I'm just going to put the gimbal here. I don't shoot people in a row like this.
You don't? You don't shoot people in a row like this?
No.
Well, this is
very rare.
Well,
but I understand that there's a purpose of you showing this in the way you do.
Exactly. Which camera is on? Is it this one?
So now it's this one,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, so this is an extreme example, of course. It's perfectly when you have people in a row like that. But the point here is that if you need a long depth of light, this is called a long depth of light, or I call it a long depth of light. Like if you have a group of people where you have a row with people here and a new row and a second row and a third row, then you have a depth. You want them to be equally bright over distance. Then you need to have your light as far away as possible. Then you will achieve a longer depth of light.
Yeah. But then also, I know that if this is good to know if you want to impact the background, right?
Exactly.
So if I move this black curtain away a little bit,
Yeah.
and now we take the guy at the back. I'm just going to move the other Kens away.
I'll help you with this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we use the light. Now it's all the way in the back.
The principle is, of course, exactly the same. We have our light source really, really far away. The light will hit our guy here,
Yeah.
but the light will also hit the background. And since the light is really far away, we can use this long depth of light to have a really bright background. Okay? So I take this image now, and I will not put any shadow on the man, so I put myself on the left side of him. And here we go. Are you ready, Anders?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, and boop. Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So now you have a good exposed Ken head and a very bright background.
Exactly. So this is a way of actually controlling the light of the background, because when I bring my light closer, I can really trim the perfect level of light on the background.
Okay.
So if I want a darker background, I just bring the light closer.
Why don't you?
Oh, I do that.
So now you do the walk of shame.
Yes.
And you can wave hi hi.
Hi, hi. Let's bring in the light. I put it.
And since we're doing extremes now, I guess you're going to go ridiculously close.
Yes, because I love the extremes. Actually, I think that often when I shoot, not plastic people like this, but real people, we are really often in extreme positions. We have the lights as far away as possible or as close as possible. Always, not always, but very often in those extremes, actually.
And you don't have to be, you can of course fine tune it and move it, and you can find shades of gray for the background.
Exactly.
etc.
So now we go to the extreme.
We haven't changed anything on the background. The curtain is still, as you can see, it's pulled away. Yep.
Yep, I will just fix my camera so we get a good exposure on Mr. Ken. Same thing.
Yeah, don't mess this up, we're live.
Yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and boop. Yes.
Okay. And then we see, there's the image. Yeah. So now you clearly see now the background is almost completely dark.
And exactly, and it's really important to understand that the darkness of the background is not caused by that the light doesn't hit the background, because the light is still aiming towards the background.
Yeah.
So
and we can see now that we have the modeling light, we can actually see.
yeah.
And if you do the shadow a little bit more in that, there you go.
Oh yeah, they will have the shadow from the head.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it was just out of frame. So
Okay.
when you do the waving,
Do you see it now?
yeah, no, it's too bright.
too
but
bright.
yeah,
Well,
there is
anyway.
light. At
Yeah,
least,
so the light still hits the
Oh, wait,
background.
wait a minute, we can. Oh no, here on this one. Now you can see on the camera far away.
Yeah, so the shadow here is from me, from the modeling light.
Yeah,
And
the flash is stronger than the modeling light. So
exactly.
yeah, cool.
So, because I know that many people get confused by this and think that I am just aiming the light away from the background, which I am not. I can, of course, but I want to prove that when you have the light source closer, you get a shorter depth of light and, in other words, a darker background. So you can control the amount of light of your background by controlling the distance of your lights. And this is really, I would say that this is crucial, because when you have, when you are lighting something, you always have a background. If you
Yes.
want to light up the background, put the flash further away. If you do not want to affect the background, then you put the light source closer, because then you can put in second lights on the background and control that, and have a control over the background. Okay?
Yeah, yeah. So Joel makes I'm trying to catch up here on comments here
Yeah.
before we go over to the faking part. But he would like to see this with a 1,000 watt, 500 watt, 250 watt, and the A1X.
Oh, that's really interesting.
because-
Good comment.
Yeah, I mean, but with different powers, because literally, I mean, there's only one f-stop difference between the 250, 500, and 1,000. So the effect will be exactly the same if you expose the head for the same for the head.
Exactly. But I mean, now we're using a 500 watt second.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Using the
but
beacon
I
plus.
am at power level 5, because I can't go any brighter, because then my camera is on f22,
Yeah.
so I can't expose the head. But the effect doesn't change just because you have a lower or more weaker flash or stronger flash.
Exactly. So if we would do this now, because now we are at power level 5,
Yeah.
right? And if we would change it to a 250 watt second, we would put it on power level 4.
Exactly.
Because that's one f-stop lower. And if we put a 1,000 watt head
Yeah.
on there, like a D2, for example, then we would put it on power level. No, that would be power level 4. But if you put a 250 watt, we would put it on power level 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the main thing here is that the effect, light behaves exactly the same. It
no
doesn't
matter
matter.
the watt
It doesn't
seconds.
matter if I have a, no, I can have 10,000 watt seconds.
Yeah.
It still behaves the same way. You will have a long depth
Yeah.
of light when you have your light far away.
Yeah.
But the amount of light, that is all about your exposure, but it will behave the same way. That is very important. Though if you still think that this has to do with the power of the light, then you are missing the point here. The point is that light behaves like this. When you have it far away, you expose your camera, you will have a long depth of light. When you have it close, you will have a short depth of light. Doesn't matter how many photons you are putting out, they behave the same way. Really
Cool.
important.
Yeah, and it seems like we did answer Joel's question here, because he said he writes that he had difficulty understanding this in school, and that's absolutely normal. I mean, I'm still struggling every now and then with this.
Yes, and I think that if you start to use the inverse square law, start to calculate on it, you have your light meter, it's like 5.6 here and f11 here and so on. That I think, I mean, it works, of course, but I think that it's the wrong side of your brain,
Yeah.
because this is all about you have to have this in your spine. Short depth of light, put it close. Long depth of light, put it far away. And when you can have this really tuned in to your flashlight, so you can really feel how much you are affecting the background.
Yeah.
I know that if I put this light like this, like that, I can see that I'm lighting on the background, but I know by experience that my background will be pitch dark because I'm close.
Because if I move to the distant camera, you can see there's a huge shadow from the Ken head over there. So clearly light it will hit the wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it would be a massive fall off, therefore the image turned dark.
Yes.
The background.
And also if you have a flash on your camera in the hot shoe, what do you call that? An on-camera flash.
Yeah, on-camera flash.
Like an A1 or so.
Yeah.
The same thing applies there. If you are far away, in other words, the flash is far away, you will have a long depth of light. In other words, the background will be much brighter. But if you go up close with your own camera flash, your background will be much darker because you are close with the light. So close with the light equals back background. Far away with your light equals bright background. Background. Dark.
Dark ground. Yeah. That's a new thing.
Yeah, it's a new thing. The dark ground.
Okay, so this is good. I think we're not getting too many questions. I'd like to, before we sit down and chill and talk a little bit more, I'd like to fake this again. So I'll reset to as we had it.
I put in these guys.
Yeah. So we get these guys in as we had them. Boom,
boom, and boom. Something like that.
It's very important to place the heads correctly.
Yes, place the heads. You don't want any shadows that confuses people. Okay, so we know that.
Dave Henderson said we're all confused. Really, I mean, it's if the light source is close to the talent you're shooting, the background will be dark. And if the light is far away from your subject,
like the sun,
like the sun, then it will be equally bright, both the talent and the background.
I would try to put it like this. If you want to create a natural looking light, like from the sun, you need to mimic what the sun does.
Yeah.
You need to have your flash far away. Then your background will be bright.
Take the softbox and let's do the fake thingy.
Well, let's take the softbox.
So now we are in a conference room. We do not have this big fancy studio, and we can't really be far away. So if we place the softbox like we would.
And we have in the conference room 4 CEOs.
Exactly.
In a row.
4 docs in a row.
4 CEOs in a row. Like this. Okay, so now we have like the same setup as before, but with a softbox. It's really close, and we are not creating any beautiful light now. We are only talking about the depth of light. So I won't place it in any fancy way.
Yeah.
This softbox is really close to the first CFO person here in this small conference room. What will happen? A lot of rays of light will hit him, and fewer here, and fewer here. This person will probably be really dark. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can also almost see that effect on the modeling light.
Yeah.
So it's, but that's a traditional, straightforward positioning of a softbox that normally people do, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when standing in a row. Okay. So here we go. Anders, are you ready?
Yes. Let me see if I have connection. Yeah, I got connection.
Okay. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and boop.
Okay, so now we have 4 ducks in a row and good exposure on the first CEO, but the guy in the back, he's dark.
Yes.
But
we
now
have a short depth of light.
Yeah, but now this is now, and then the guy in the back, he says, you know, I'm not happy with this picture. I want to have as much light as the first one.
And then I can take my softbox and run. Then I can take my softbox and run back to the wall over there. But in this small conference room, I cannot, because that wall is here. So how can I in this extreme situation, make the light look like it is a long depth of light without moving the softbox or the flash.
Or the light source.
Or the light source,
Yeah.
exactly. It doesn't matter what kind of light source. So, this is what's called feathering the light. So if I turn the softbox like this, I have to see what I'm doing. If I turn the softbox all the way like this, they won't have any light, right? And if I bring it back, I can see that the guy in the furthest back will have some light and he will have none. Okay, so now we have a backward sliding. He will be the brightest one and he will be pitch dark. You don't want that either. So when I just tweak this in, I can place the first guy in this what do you call this? The edge, the shadow edge. And that is the feathered light, so to speak. If I put him just in the shadows, you just get a tad of light. I can get all these 4 guys to have really equal amount of light if I am...
And actually, I'm thinking if we should take the gimbal and just look at it from the subject's point of view, because I think it's very illustrative. When you see, now here I can see the softbox. If you do the feathering thing.
I do the feathering thing.
Because as always, if you are a person, now we can see, and if so now I see the light. Now I see the light source. If you move it all the way to, well, if I'm here, this guy here.
Now you won't see the light
now I
source,
won't
right?
see the light at all.
In other words, he will be pitch dark.
Yeah, and
Now
then
we
you're
can
moving it. Now I'm start to see some light.
Yeah.
So now I start to see some light then here.
And you see
And here.
more and more of the light as
And more,
further.
Yeah. So I see more and more of the surface of the softbox,
Exactly.
which then compensates for the fall off.
Exactly. So I can really tweak this to get an
So
even.
this one that is
light.
really close, he sees a small part,
Yeah.
and this guy, who's all the way in the back, he sees a big part of the softbox. So that's exactly what's happening. And so without moving, the distance between the first talent here and the softbox, it's still close.
Really, really close. But he only sees a small portion of the light source.
Exactly.
In other words, he will have very few rays of light on him.
So I'll put you back here.
And I think I'm ready to take this image and let's see.
Oh, I want to make sure that.
So what we are doing now is faking a long depth of light. Okay, Anders, up and running.
Yeah, we got connection.
3, 2, 1, and boop.
And here we see the result. We got 4 ducks in a row with almost equal amount of light. I mean,
Yes.
of course, you can't tell. There's a small difference on the guy
Well,
in the back.
I'm sorry, Anders. I didn't do it perfectly, but
No, but it's close enough. It's so much
Absolutely.
better than the other image.
yeah. And I mean, the softbox is like 30 centimeters from the first guy.
Yeah, which is really close.
Yeah, and this is of course an extreme situation.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you put a softbox like this? I mean, this is.
Yeah.
I mean, I would get a more even light if I bring out the softbox, but this was just to. It's still the same concept. If I
Still
have
the same principle, yeah.
Yeah. Am I on now?
Yeah.
Because if I put out the softbox
No,
like
wait,
this,
there you go.
if I put out the softbox further away like this, of course, and I turn it towards them, the first guy will still be the brightest one. So I can still use this concept. The principle is still the same. I can still feather it like this.
Yes.
So when you're shooting like a group of people, the standard way is to have 2 umbrellas or 2 softboxes, one from one side and one from the other side, and you feather it like this, so the guy closest to the light source is darker.
Yeah.
And you do it the same way from the other way, so you cross light them and feather them, then you can get a really even amount of light without having the light sources really, really far away.
And of course, this is something you see rarely because people tend to point the light sources towards
Exactly.
the topic.
So this is the normal way to do it.
Yeah.
You point it towards the thing you're going to shoot. But if you tweak it like this, you can really place that light pattern evenly over distance.
Yeah, because you're shaping the light, and and you're working with the whole light pattern, including the feathered part. So,
Exactly.
so this
So-
is really, really a neat trick. And don't be afraid that you look like a fool because your flash is pointing in a different direction than the person's. I mean, the main thing is the result.
Exactly. I want to squeeze in another thing, because now we have worked with feathering the light horizontally, I think
Yeah.
you say that. But you can do this vertically too, also. Instead of, like if you have a light coming in and the light hits the floor, if the light source is really close to the floor will be too bright and you can see the fall off. And that
Yeah.
really implies that you have a flash just outside of the frame. But if you lift up your softbox, then you can create this feathering thing but below, so you can have an even light on the floor, which makes it feel that you have your light source, that you have a really large light source really far away,
Yeah.
even though it's really close. So you can do it in this direction too.
This is so useful, and not only you can get a really nice type of light when you feather it, even if you're shooting one person. I use the feathered part of the light a lot because
Yeah.
it just looks good.
And that is why these edges of the softbox, that you have these rims,
Yeah,
is really good, because then you have a more pronounced edge
you have
to
better
play with.
control. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's the difference, because, for example, if you have an umbrella and you can put the diffusion on it, but then you don't have that edge.
Exactly.
Because I get the question. I got the question the other day what's the difference between a 5-foot octa and an equally large umbrella? And for me, the main difference is that the umbrella with diffusion does not have the recessed front, which means that I don't have the control, the feathered area. as
You
much.
will of course you can feather it, but you don't. But it grows much quicker, so you don't have the same amount. You don't have the same control.
Yeah.
I mean, if these were really long, you would have super control of that.
Mhm, yeah.
But the recessed front is a real good thing.
Yeah, and they're asking what light did we use? We've been using the B10 Plus for since it's the latest flash. Let's sit down.
Yeah.
I'll move this guy so that
yeah.
he sees us. And then we see.
Johan Falkenström asks, perhaps grid it. Would that work? Well, you can do the same thing with the grid, but with the grid it goes much faster, because when you turn your flash, it goes dark much quicker. So you have you can achieve the same thing,
Yeah.
but I think it's even more focused, of course. So the feathered edge is really sharp.
Yeah. What else did we have? Yeah, so we've been using the B10 Plus. It's just the same one light for all the images, close, far away, and we're using the whole range. Were we at power level 10 all the way? Yeah, so when we were all the way at the back, we were at power level 10.
Yes.
But then on the other hand, you brought your aperture up to 22.
Yeah, when we were close, and then
Yeah.
on power level 5.
Yeah. But in general, the camera settings has been ISO 100.
I had
shutter speed
ISO
and-
400 when it was power level 10, ISO 400, and now I forgot the aperture. But it wasn't like 2.8.
No,
I
it was
remember.
6.3. I think it was 6.3.
Yeah.
And because I looked at the images, and then you had shutter speed about 160.
Yeah, 160 to
Yeah.
close out all the lights from in here.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, you can work and you can play around with the camera settings, both the ISO and shutter speed to control the
ambient light, of
yeah,
course.
exactly. But then normally, I mean, the aperture you use to decide, how sharp you want the background or not.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Which maybe we should mention that what happens when we have the light source far away, I mean, not the light source, what happens with the shadows? I mean, of course, we will have more sharper shadow edges, in other words, harder lights, when we have the light source far away. But when we have the light source, as we did now, when we end with the soft, we have the light source close, so it will be big. In other words, you will have wide shadow edges, but only in the vertical direction, because the softbox is still big in the vertical direction, but it gets smaller horizontally. So the horizontal penumbras, the horizontal shadow edges will be sharper. But that's maybe over course.
Yeah, that's that advanced. But I think this has been very useful to understand the depth of light and the inverse square law. And I think that the key to kind of round it up is really to that if you put the light, so if the talent goes and you expose your camera for that person so that the person's face will be correctly exposed, then you will have a very, very fast fall off. It will go dark fast. But if you move the light far away and again expose the camera for the person's face and do the settings you need to do in the camera, then the background will be brighter. And this is what we sometimes call the mind, bad word, mind beep. So it kind of messes with your head that if you move the light away, things go brighter, and you move it closer, things go darker. But that's actually what happens.
Exactly, and that is just pure physics. It, it has nothing to do with products or anything. Of course, sorry, I mean, if you put a lens on your...
Oh, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing, because if when you put, but it's still the same physics.
Yes, absolutely.
If you put a lens on, then you can collimate all your rays, so you have the same amount of rays going parallel.
And you can go really extreme and put really aggressive lenses and let the light go back and forth several times in a little device, and then it's called a laser.
Yeah, and then just put out those that
so
are
a lot
really,
of
really parallel rays.
But we're not going to go into optics, because that's a whole different school. But soon we'll be there, I think. That'll be fun.
It would be cool to have like a super deep Academy Live.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
With only 5 viewers.
Yeah. and we will of course follow the comments in here and answer questions if something pops up afterwards. I know it can feel confusing, but if you only remember the 2 things, if you move the light source close to the talent, background dark, far away, background bright, then you're almost there. And this is again very useful when you shoot portraits or environments, on understanding where do you place the light source.
Exactly.
Because this is where everything, I mean, that's how you impact what's going to happen with light. So. In placement of the lights.
Yes, and if you have like a white background like we have here, with this technique you can create that background in all gradients, from dark to white.
Yeah.
And that is powerful.
Yes.
And of course the same if you have like a red background, you can control how dark will that redness be and so on. So that this always applies, because the depth of light is there. It is always there.
Yeah. So I think we'll round off with all our viewers a little bit confused, but watch this again, and I'm sure you will get it, and especially the presentation part, because I think that's one of the best ways you have shown this whole thing. Now I have a little dog here. He wants to come up. Hello, you want to be in the picture as well? Yeah. These are really cuddly studio dogs. So watch it again, and if you have any further questions, do put it in there. But I think you will, if you see it a couple of times, you will get it.
Yes, and I would say try it out.
Yeah.
Try it out. And I saw that some people will want to know the camera settings. And I don't know, maybe you can write it down.
Yeah, I can write it down into the comments. But it was nothing dramatic. It was ISO 100, and it was shutter speed 160. You did fiddle around a little bit with the aperture, but not much. It was.
I think it's dangerous if you think that the settings create the effect. The
Yeah.
camera settings doesn't create. I just changed the camera settings to expose it correctly. I mean, we have rehearsed this before, so I know exactly what to put it on.
Yeah.
But
And we're also using extremes here. We are going
yeah,
extremely short, close, and we're going extremely far away to kind of exaggerate the effect. And that's why we have to fiddle around a little bit with the aperture, but not much.
yes.
But anyway, that was a fast. Time flies when you have fun and you talk about complex things. Last week I came in 5 minutes before 5 from shooting Bon Jovi, and now I'm actually
Shooting.
Phil Collins. Yes, I'm heading off, and now at least I'm shooting him afterwards. But I'm gonna dash off, and it's the kind of the busiest time for me. I had Mark Knopfler, you know him?
Yeah, yes, I
the good
do.
old Dire Straits guy. It was yesterday, and we had Backstreet Boys and the whole.
Do you use any depth of light when you're shooting all these guys?
No, I have a studio setup. I have a B1X and a 2x3, and that's it. So it's one light setup, and we take images of them for the Wall of Fame.
Well, let's say, okay, so you have a straightforward way of putting your lights. So it's the same between all those.
Well, no, I
artists.
do change if it's 5 guys, if it's a band, or if it's a one guy
Yeah.
thing.
So
But-
if
I
you
do
want to have the background really bright, where should you put your lights?
Far away.
Far away. And if
Yes.
you want to have your background dark, where do you put your lights?
Ooh, I think it would be close.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Good there, very good.
Yes.
And so that's that, and then of course I shoot a little bit of action as well when he's actually on stage
Yeah.
playing, and then I don't use any flash at all. We're not allowed to use flash.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that, I want to thank you guys for listening. And today was a tricky one, but every now and then we're gonna, turn up the heat and go a little bit more advanced and cover these type of topics as well.
Yes.
And then we'll see where we are next week. We might be talking about something very simple.
Yes. Something that just came up in my head. I know that I shouldn't say this because it's. Sorry.
This is when I get worried.
Because the light, when you put your light closer, I know that many of you think that when you have a softbox really close, it looks really nice, because it does. It's really super soft and such. And when you have your light source really far away, it becomes more harder and so on. But I think it was in China, I got this question: why does it look so nice when you have your softbox really close? Is it only the penumbras, the shadow edges? Is it something else, because it looks so nice? And actually, I started to do some fiddling about that, and I found out what I think we talked about before, the compression effect, that when you have your light further away and the light closer, you can actually control the intensity of the reflections.
Ooh,
So when you
yeah.
have it really close, the reflections actually goes darker. And the opposite, when you have your light source further away, your reflections will go brighter. But that's another topic
That's
too.
a whole different topic, and it has nothing to do with inverse square law.
Nothing to
No.
do with inverse square law.
Excellent. So, and now we see Rebecca joined just the last
Oh,
seconds.
Great there, Rebecca.
Yeah, so you'll be here for the thank you, and see you next week. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.